Hi, this is Vertigale with Black Desert Roleplayers. I've seen a lot of character creation videos for Black Desert online. As you probably know if you're viewing this video, Black Desert Online has a really robust character creation. Character Creator has a lot of options and probably one of the most detailed ability to customize your character that I've seen in an MMO so far. If you'd like to, you can Google character creator videos for Black Desert Online and get a lot of hits. They're all pretty unique and pretty interesting, but what I've noticed is there's not a lot of tutorial videos showing you specifically some of the detailed nuances of using the face sliders, adjusting the face, the hair, and the eyes. I've played with this for a little bit, and I think I've discovered, some tips and tricks that might be able to help you. It certainly helped me a little bit. So stick with me. It's going to be a little rough, but I'm going to do my best, and we're just going to dive in here. One of the first things that you might want to consider before you start going into the detailed editor is the lighting. You can change the lighting of your character down here where it says weather. This is the Japanese client, by the way, and I'm using an English patch. So the reason that taking the lighting into consideration is important is because it's going to help you see what you're doing better. So you want something that has some good some good contrast but isn't too overblown. So usually that's number one, but for other faces it might work better for you to try some of these others, and I do recommend going back occasionally and checking out your character in the different lighting to see how you want to adjust it, because the lighting in the game is really dynamic and it can really change how your character appears. So we're going to start with number one, and then we're going to go into editing the face. So one of the first things that I always do, because it can get really annoying trying to edit your character and they keep looking around, is click right here at the top on this eyeball and it will lock your character's head in position. The next thing that I recommend doing is if you click this little box up here, it will automatically put a temporary hairstyle on that clears hair away from the face so you can see what you're doing. So the first thing that you'll want to choose is your default face shape. Usually there's a couple of free ones, and then the ones that have the golden P at the top here are ones that you have to pay for. So they won't stick if you try to make your character with a face like this. It won't stay. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with this first one right here. The next thing that I would recommend doing is choosing a skin tone, a darker skin tone. For the females, you can't really get too dark. This is probably the darkest you can get, and the reason I say that is because it gives you an easier time seeing the depth and the lines of the face. So for example, if you choose the palest, it's really hard to see any of the contouring of the face. So you can always go back and change this, but for editing purposes, I think it's easier to stick with a darker skin tone. And one of the first things you can control here is the shine of the skin. And your character does sweat in the game. If they go in the water, their face gets shiny. If they do any sort of exertion or they get rained on, their face gets shiny. So you don't really have to set it up too high if you don't want to, because your character will perspire in game anyway. So I'm just going to leave it as a 3 here. And so now we're going to get into the meat of the face creator, the face editor. You'll notice that you have 3 controller selections here, and they all do something different. You can click and drag. If you put your mouse over the face, you'll see all these little areas pop up, and these you can actually just click and drag your mouse on, and you'll see that the sliders move as you drag your mouse. The problem is that you can only edit one of these, vectors at a time. So we'll just put her mouth back here. If you do, make a mistake and you want to go back, there's not really an undo button, unfortunately. But for example, say I don't like that. If you click this button here, it will take that feature, so it will take that section, this middle lip here, and it will put it back to default. So you really screw up and it looks terrible and you've done all sorts of crazy things and you don't know how to go back. Instead of going all the way out and coming back all the way in, you can just click this button and it will set the entire face to default. But be careful because you're going to lose all the work you've done. So this takes just a piece of the face to default, and this one takes the entire face to default. So these three sections here, let's talk about these really quick. The first section, the top one, is placement. By clicking and dragging, it changes the placement of that feature on the face from an up and down perspective and side to side. The eyes kind of show that a little bit better. You can raise and lower the feature, bring them closer together or farther apart, and as you can see it gets kind of silly, so moderation I think is the key here. The second one is all about the rotation of the feature. And we can let's use the nose for that one. And what actually helps is to turn your character profile a lot so that you can make sure everything looks normal. So you can turn the nose down, turn the nose up, and then if we take it this way again, see, you can also see that it rotates side to side as well. So let's take that back to normal. Okay. And then the last thing is size. You can size the feature up or down. Let's do this one here. So if I click and drag outward, it makes it smaller. Let's do her nose, that might be easier to see. So I'm making her nose smaller, and then if I drag back, I'm making it wider. But this can also be done this direction too, so her nose is smaller, and then I can make it really big too. Something that might be helpful is instead of clicking and dragging with your mouse, you can get more control if you just use the sliders themselves. It's kind of more fine-tuned control. I definitely recommend using this. And again, I do definitely recommend turning your character profile a lot so that you can see how what you're doing affects the entire look of the face. So we're just going to go back to default here. And next we will move on to changing the eye colors. I've learned a couple of tricks about that, so join me for that next.